It ain't no misdemeanor. Ain't no misdemeanor, girl. So tell me that you feel it. Tell me that you feel it, baby, girl. So why won't you admit it? Why won't you admit it, girl? That you are. Welcome to After Rehearsal Behind the Music. We are here with Mark Evich, an incredible instrumentalist and singer. Super excited to have you. How are you doing today?
Doing great, brother. I'm excited to be here and excited to tell you everything you want to know because I'm
Man,
all about
absolutely.
that.
Yes, sir. Hey, whereabouts are you from?
I was born and raised in Moscow, in Russia, which you know, a lot of people's reaction is very interesting because they don't expect a soul singer from Moscow, Russia. So
At all.
I, and I usually play a game with people when I'm trying to, have them guess. They would, for some reason, I'm getting a lot of Sweden, Denmark, those allegations a lot,
Yeah.
Ireland, but Russia never really comes,
Yeah.
as one of the guesses. But yeah, I was born in Moscow, Russia, and I moved to New York in 2016.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. But no, that's incredible. Yeah. There's no way I would have guessed that correctly. I'm glad you
Should
didn't
have
play
played
that
the
with
game.
me.
Yeah.
Man, absolutely. Tell me about, just where did the music journey start for you?
Right. So it's one of my favorite stories that I tell all the time, and I'm happy to tell this again because I just like reliving it. So basically, when I was in eighth grade in my high school, we had a very artistically inclined school where I studied, and we had very big emphasis on culture, on arts, on on theatrics and stuff like that. So one of the art teachers, he casually asked me what music I was listening to, and for some reason at the time I was a huge fan of Bob Marley. I was going through heavy Bob Marley phase. I didn't play music at the time, I just listened to it a lot. And he said, I got you. Next day, this guy brings me three CDs. Eric Benet, Day in
Mhm.
the Life, Brian McKnight, the one where it's like, Do I ever cross you? This album.
Yeah.
And he brings me Frank McComb. Now, Frank McComb is a very neat artist. He's from Philly. He has a voice that is similar to Donny Hathaway meets. Yeah, he sounds like Donny a lot. So that was my first introduction to the kind of music I had not known that I would be making ever since. So the first ever soul song I heard was Eric Benet. It's from Day in the Life, the first song, and you gotta understand it. Back in the day, I had a CD that he gave me, so I go to my sister's job. I burn a copy of that CD. I take it home. I write it up with my marker. My millennials know what it is. You write the
Yes, yes,
name of
yeah,
the
right.
CD,
Burn the
Eric
CD,
Benet.
absolutely.
Exactly. Yes, sir. And then once I put that CD into my CD player, I had a pretty good sound system at home, and it starts going, Feel me, take me in slowly so you can understand. And I'm like, wait, what is this? I had never been exposed to anything like that. That neo soul, that
Yes.
soulful thing with live guitar, with very groovy bass line. And that's when it was my fate was sealed. I knew I was gonna be a soul singer forever. Like that was
Yeah.
clear as day. Then my mom showed me how to play a few chords on the guitar, so that was
Mhm.
my introduction into playing stuff. And in half a year from then, I already played my first show in my high school for my classmates in the schools, like whatever, like school's hall.
Yeah.
And ever since, there was no question what I was gonna do. That was my first, musical beginning, and it never went away from me.
I love that. I love that. So when you kind of came up and what were the different inspirations to kind of like pick up instruments and really grow that from its origins? Like where did things really start to grow from there?
I never went through this phase of like not being sure what I'm gonna do. Like within few weeks of me just starting to play guitar, I started writing songs already. I already was writing songs. They were funny and simple and basic, but like I already was into that. I didn't really go through a phase of, doing covers too much. And that's why I never really became good at singing other people's stuff because I was just too busy doing my own thing. Yeah, of course I was listening to albums heavy, and this guy he kept on bringing me CDs. He kept on educating me. He put me on Earth, Wind and Fire. He put me on Take Six. Boys to Men, All for One, like all those bands. Then some other homies started putting me on like Jay Dilla or like all that stuff, Slum
Mhm.
Village. So that was like in parallel with me already writing, already performing. I formed a band pretty quickly, my school band, and we started playing shows around the town. It was pretty straightforward. It was never like a question of whether I was gonna do that or not. I got my formal education in Russia, but I already was playing shows, and eventually I started making money from it. And because I got tired of waiting on producers to make tracks for me, so I just learned how to do it for myself. And people started liking the way I was doing it for myself. They started hiring me to do it for them, so that became my job at the time. So it was a very, you know what they say, if you do what you love, you will not work a day in your life. That's what
Correct.
happened.
Correct. I love that. I love that. So taking a look at kind of in time how your music has progressed. So I love you saying I didn't really go the cover route, even though I was listening to a lot of other people's music because I was writing my own things. As you really started to refine your pen, what were some of the early songs that you were writing about? So, in having this wonderful pool of music that you were really
Right.
listening to, what were some of those early songs about?
Well, I mean, like anybody from being in eighth grade, everything was about love, about girls, about, things not working out the way they wanted. I wanted them to work out. So I was definitely impersonating subconsciously the people that I listened to at the time. I was heavy trying to sound like Eric Benet, which, is insane. Like, I'm not going to be able to sound like Eric Benet, and that's okay, but at the time, I was trying to like force my voice a certain way. And those songs were, since my musical like skills were a little limited at the time, the songs were a little more simple. And the more I educated myself on the guitar, the more I worked with musicians. I'm a musician first and foremost.
Right.
I am mostly respecting musicians over vocalists in any setting. I'm always asking, what do musicians feel like? Do they like how my songs sound? I want to make sure the band I work with is happy with everything. So that was a huge part of me, is listening to the musicians, learning from them. And the more I learned from them, and they sometimes would be pretty harsh. They'd be like, man, this shit is basic, you got to write better songs. And I like that.
Yeah.
And then obviously a huge breakthrough was me getting exposed to D'Angelo, because in
Yes.
Russia, D'Angelo is very, very hard to just stumble upon. You have to be in a certain circle, because it's, even in America. I mean, I understand that it's one of the main legends ever to ever walk this earth. But even still, to a lot of people, who are not musicians, D'Angelo is more of like refined taste. So in Russia, it was like, wow. So me seeing those Montreux Jazz Festival D'Angelo performances, his live shows, that was a major point for me. When I think now looking back, I realized that music can be complex but so cool and so charismatic and so masculine and so makes you want to move, makes you want to dance, but there's so much going on. So that combination, and fast forward to many, many years later to today, the songs that you hear on my TikTok now, it took me years, decade almost, to allow myself to make music of this kind, because I finally realized I don't need to try to sound like more accessible. Because when you're in Russia, you got to make songs a little more simplified, because people are not really like familiar with R&B. That's why I moved in the first place. So even after moving here, it took me some time to realize, hey man, you can make this kind of music and people will rock with it, because America is a very, multi-layered country when it comes to musical styles and genres, and there is audience for everything. And I moved here to be working with, musicians who are coming from here, who can expose me to this, and again, teach me, show me, encourage me. And that's how it became another, big stage for me moving here. It was a huge, huge, huge step up for me.
I love that, and I really I'm glad you mentioned D'Angelo because I was the sound that I first thought of when I heard Misdemeanor, and I'm like, oh my
Hey,
goodness! Like
yes,
from the
sir.
first one, I was like, oh my goodness, the
Yes, sir.
sound, the layers, the
Mhm.
backgrounds, just the instrumentation, how you were able to not mimic the feel but make the feel your own, especially with
Right.
how your vocals really come across, and then as well having those live and real horns within the arrangements. It's
Yes.
something that is missing in R&B today.
I think so, and like, who am I to say what's missing from R&B today, right? But like, I do feel that we have a lot of great artists, and I hate when people say, "Well, R&B is dead." No, it's not. We have artists of all kinds, you know.
All
But I
kinds.
do feel that that combo of musicianship at the highest level, while still being sexy, while still not sounding too like alt, while not still like, I love that kind of like Soul Quarians, you know, Bilal, D'Angelo, Erica Badu, Jill Scott, you know, like we can go on and on, obviously. But yes, the trumpet is Brandon Woody. He's a great guy. He just got signed to Blue Note as a solo artist. And yeah, this record, man, I just took my cats in LA. We just went to the studio. I wrote the songs and I just let them play. That was literally the motto of the whole process. Just let the cats play.
Talk to me about kind of the differences as your careers progressed along. So you've talked about like how you're finally now in a place where you've refined your sound because you've allowed yourself to be able to do those things. Take me back
Right.
to like even See You Shine and how that is pulling
Oh
upon
wow.
different textures and styles and
Okay,
like,
so you
okay, this is
shine.
very East Coast, but then
Yeah.
also now hearing how much America and as American artists as well as being in Russia has influenced it. Talk about kind of what went into making that song sound the way that it has.
Talk about See You Shine.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's so crazy. I mean, yeah. I mean, I would, to be honest with you, that was one example of me trying to be more accessible in a way. I mean, I genuinely rock with the whole like Jersey club sound and stuff like that, you know. And I kind of like, I think, without fake humbleness, I think I was one of the earlier cats to combine drill and Jersey club in the same song. Then it became it was the most obvious thing to me, you
Everybody
know.
doesn't know.
Now it's like, oh, of course you do that. What's this, like Cash Cobain and shit? I did it before it was cool, you know.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the label to push it for me or whatnot. But and maybe it's crazy how the world works, man. Because if that song made me huge, maybe I would have become a Jersey club artist. You know, like who never you
Right.
never know.
Right. Right.
Because like my thing is, I can say that I have not been making like I've been making good sounding music for a hot second now. It was always
Yes.
good. It was always decent. I know that I have a level of sonic quality and like writers, you know, quality that has been good for a while now. I'm not gonna lie. Like I objectively know that this stuff was good and has been good for a while now. However, I do think that even See You Shine, of course I put my soul and heart into it, right? And I was definitely like feeling it, but deep down I knew that that's not quite what I really was supposed to be making, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I could definitely see that now that you're really expounding upon that. So whether it be See You Shine or Back Home with You or some of the other ones,
Yeah,
I'm like, okay,
yeah,
this is him really finding your sound. And then now listening to Misdemeanor, I'm like, this is you.
right,
Yeah.
correct,
I
correct.
love that. I
So
love
I'm
that.
I'm glad you asked, and I'm glad you took the time to actually go back and listen to my cat, because I have songs, man. I have songs for
Yes,
days.
yes, yes. For me, like anytime I do interviews, I find it's important not to look at people's bios and be like, oh well, when you're in primary school, you had a friend named Edmund. Tell me about your like.
Yes,
I don't
yeah,
find that as important because that's really just reading upon something that's information that other people have already gathered. I'd rather listen
right,
to your entire catalog and say, hey, in a song you came out in 2016, this is what I heard. Tell me
yeah,
more about that.
nice. This is
Because
journalism.
yeah, yeah.
I respect that. Thanks for doing that,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. And I think something that I've loved is although you're really finding your sound, you've always been consistent at making good music, but making good music that makes people move. And I think Back Home to You is one of the examples of like, okay, like this is something that's R&B, but it could be also classified
Right.
as dance. It's also classified as
Mhm.
I can bump it at the crib, I can also play it at the club. And I think
Yeah, you
having the
want
versatility.
some of those. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because there's not a lot of R&B tracks that you're like, I could play this at the club. You could play it at the
Right.
club, but then people are like, okay, especially today, they're like, okay,
Yes.
what am I doing to this? But like
Right.
a lot of your music is it cuts across. And also for your international markets, which is genius
Mhm.
because I remember partying in the clubs of Cardiff, Wales. Like folks want that EDM style dance music and they want
Yeah. Yeah.
to,
Yeah, I feel you.
they
Yeah,
want to
yes,
move.
sir.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Anderson .Paak, Schoolboy Q, right? Am I wrong to
Yes.
assume? Like, that's a
Yes.
clear example of he's an R&B cat, hip hop cat, but that joint was one of the biggest stepping stones of him really making his, career successful. So And like back home with you, that one was produced by this cat from New York, Yannick. He's a really good producer, and he just sent me the beat, and I wrote over it. And yeah, he was playing an H&M and stuff like that. Track definitely made some good numbers because again, it's more obviously more universal. So I'm not saying that this needs to be trashed, and I'm glad you said that. Yeah, it's still me. My thing is to just conclude this like chapter is that yeah, because I never went heavy into covering stuff, I do think that I was always very original with my sound, no matter
Yeah.
which step I was, influenced by. I don't think, and sometimes it was harder for me to promote that stuff because if you know how we promote music these days, if you like this, this, and this, then you're gonna like this. It's harder when your shit is not easily boxable like that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I definitely agree, and I'm glad you brought up. I'm glad you brought up "Am I Wrong?" Because that track,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. I think that track really has directly led him towards not just pushing his music out in genres and spaces that he hasn't been, but also now has moved his trajectory now towards. I mean, he's traveling the world DJing now,
Oh yeah,
DJing and
DJ
performing.
Pee Wee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
that's just like some of the coolest stuff ever.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back to the spaces that you get in when you're like, hey, I'm creating a new record or I'm creating a new song of today with the sound that you're like, this is me. What are
Yeah.
the first things you think about? And are you picking up an instrument first? Are you picking up the pad? Are you calling up somebody for beats? Like, what is your process like?
Yeah, I usually start writing with an instrument, most often with the guitar. That's my usual process. That was my first instrument, and I'm the most skillful at guitar. So it's easier for me to express myself with guitar. Usually I do need some kind of instrumental going on my guitar before I start. So that would usually be the case. Then I would make some kind of like a simple pre-beat type thing, and then I would bring it to the musicians I work with for them to work on it with me and rethink it and let them come up with some various ideas. I barely work with beats like that because again, I'm a musician and I happen to produce full time, so I don't really need that. If somebody sends me something really really cool, I would write to it, but I'm not actively out there hunting beats.
Right.
And last thing I'm working right now with my guys is actually I brought them super rough beats that I just had in my storage and let them cook on the spot. We had a really good session with these phenomenal guys, and I got some new music I'm working on with them right now. It's still the same direction, but I feel like it adds new layers. It's a little more modern in a way. It's like it has more of like those like overly saturated drums and all that cool stuff. And the guys who worked on it, they've been producing records for a lot of good cats. I'm not gonna name drop right now before my
Yeah,
stuff drops, but like they give me the impression of okay, you can take my stuff and make it even more interesting. I'm so open to their ideas because that helps me become a better artist. So the
absolutely.
process has been changing over the years too. That's that's the answer basically.
And one thing I love as well is we're now in a space where even in the Grammys last weekend, there are a lot of artists that have been rewarded for their diligence and years in the game, right? So you have a lot of people in
Yes.
those R&B spaces, Duran Bernard,
Yes.
Kehlani, like all these different people that are like, hey, even Olivia Dean, like, hey, we've been at this for 10, 20 plus
Thank
years.
you. We did
You've been
love
my
that,
day,
right?
you've been my day one. Like y'all have been here. I think I saw a clip where Olivia Dean was performing at a festival and she was opening up for somebody. It was 2023. Four people
Hmm.
were out there dancing, having
Hmm.
a good time. And now
Hmm.
it showed only those four people dancing. I don't know if it was only four people there, but it shows the difference of like how those 3 years can make a difference, but also the consistency. So talk
Of
about
course.
your being an artist, putting in that time, venues, bars, pitching songs, empty venues, full ones, trying to
Yeah.
push your music to people, and the people that you want to have listen really aren't listening. Hey, you listen to that new track? Yeah, I'm gonna get to it. Talk about the
Yeah.
grind of an
Yeah.
artist and just what that has been like for you.
Well, lately I've been thinking like, what is my main talent? I'm good at a lot of stuff, but my main talent is the resilience. It's not even resilience. Let me rephrase that. My main talent is my genuine obsession with music, and that takes me the furthest possible. I would not have been a full-time music producer, a studio owner, and an artist have I not been in love with music the way I am. I still love music as much as I loved it the first day, and probably even more. So that grind, of course, I cannot wait to be famous. I cannot wait to play those festivals. I cannot, because my thing is I want to take my guys around the world, play those jazz festivals, play those big venues. I want all the Grammys and I want all that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people who be like, I don't really want. I want it. I want that stuff, right? But that being said, because I love music so much and because I want it so bad, it never felt like an arduous task that I don't want to do. Like people say, like I'm not a promoter, I'm not a journalist. Well, you would be forced to work with some crazy label owner back in the day who would tell you, okay, this is not good. You're not going to go anywhere because I don't like your stuff. And that's the end of the road. Today, through TikTok, you can find me, you can reach out to me, we can have this conversation. Every day, people comment on my stuff and, add that to their libraries one step at a time. And my favorite book, one of my favorite books by Kurt Vonnegut from many years, he talks about Galapagos Islands and how nobody wanted this land at all. Nobody cared until Charles Darwin went there. He found the turtles, and was it turtles or tortoises, whatever. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants Galapagos Islands. Everybody wants to go there. And he said, the islands have not changed. The people's perception of the islands has changed. So my job is to change the people's perception of who I am. And I understand that this is a huge privilege to be famous. So when people say, I deserve to be, no, you don't. You just want it, and that's cool. You know what I mean? Like that's so my mindset has always been very confident, but very humble. Like I know that I'm great. I know that I can be even better, but it's my job to convince people of that because I can believe that all day. But if the people don't know about me, so empty venues definitely happened. Full venues definitely happened. I played, and back home I built a pretty good career. I was, touring the country a little bit. I had a sold out show when I left the country. People like probably 300 people came, bought the tickets. So I had TV interviews, I had all that stuff, and I had to redo it from the ground here, from the ground up, and I do get my like Vibe magazine features. I got my, press shout outs. I got some editorial Spotify playlists, but it's been a process. You know what I mean? It's not easy, and it hurts every now and then that I don't get to do things that I want to do, and every time I see a cool music video by Kendrick Lamar or something, I'm like, that's why I want to be rich. That's why I want to be famous, because I want to be able to do things like this and share my vision on a larger scale. So yes, it does always give me tears in my eyes when I see artists who have been working for years finally get their flowers. I mean, Jordan Bernard, this guy has been singing with Erica Badu for years now, He's been doing his stuff for years now. And like Olivia Dean, people say like Nepo baby bullshit. What do you know? It's just how the world works. You gotta promote and stuff gets picked up. Doichi, like man, I mean, I'm not the youngest artist to do it, but I also know that there's two options. Every morning when I wake up, there's two options. Option one, not promote my stuff and skulk, right? And just be sad about it. Or promote my stuff, write something, reach out, and see what happens.
See what
So,
happens. It's as simple as that. It's really as simple as that.
yeah, man, that's what it is.
So through the resiliency and I'm sure that there's so many different layers of it that you can get to. Something that I ask every artist as a part of this podcast is I want to, we push the music, we push the music, we have the music videos, we have the press releases, we do all of the stuff. And this is an opportunity to have a conversation with the artists to get to know them outside of their music. Talk about the music, but also get to know them for who they are. And so a
right.
question that I ask every artist is, what is the lowest moment or the lowest point that you can remember in your life, personally, professionally, creatively? What was it like there and how are you able to get out? And that really points to and takes a look at not only the resiliency, but who the person is that they're listening to.
Easy. I know the answer. I've that answer for years. So when I moved to America in 2016 in New York, January 2006 2017, I was just a few months into my immigration. I was living in a small room in a very remote area of New York, Bay Ridge, like in a very tiny house with a very greedy New York style landlord for whom the heat had to be on only when temperatures fell below 0 Fahrenheit. So basically, never.
Yeah.
So I don't have any money left pretty much. I'm pretty much out of money. I'm not gonna call my family, ask for money because like I can't, I'm not gonna do that. I can't go back for sure. And I remember being in a grocery store, seeing people spend 60, $70 on groceries just like that. I'm like, what do you do for that? Like, how do you make this money? You know what I mean? It sounded insanely
Yeah.
expensive, right? And I was there debating which bread should I buy, the one for 250 or the one for $3. That literally was the dilemma there, right? And
Mhm.
those 50 cents mattered. I had like $6 a day was my budget. I was like going to chicken noodle soup Chinese store, like so all that. I barely have any clients, and I do have some clients from Russia that I make productions for, and they get sick in this room. I have really strong flu. I buy Theraflu, which was part of my budget. So I have my Theraflu, hot drink, my laptop on my table, and I knock over this Theraflu over my laptop. And of course, laptop is gone. I'm
Yeah.
sick. I have no money, have no way to make money. That was the only time ever, never before, never after, when I questioned, should I go back? Should I just, like, that was the time when I really questioned if I even made a right choice to go to America. And I remember that so damn well because like all things came together in a bad sense. And then my friend helped me out. He got me a new laptop. He like bought it on layaway for me. I slowly paid him like 100 a month type of thing. And then all of a sudden a client reaches out. Somebody in America wants to work with me. I play a good show. Some royalties come through. Spring comes around. The weather gets better. And I still look back to those days. I would never want those days again. But those were the days where it's like this live Jennings song. Those were the happiest days of my life, and he talks about some very like struggle time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember those days with gratitude because that really showed me that I ain't going back for nothing. Like I just can't. And yeah, that was the low point. And I came over, got over it relatively quickly. I'm pretty good at rebounding. There's not much stuff that can really mess me up like for longer than a day. I just don't know how to do that. I don't know how to give up. I don't know how to just like sit down and give up. It takes me a few hours to like, oh shit, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but then I'm like, all right, we can do this, we can do that, and we can do this. And things worked out. So that was the low point. I remember it really well.
That's powerful. That's powerful. I was hoping you were not gonna say you knocked over the stuff on the laptop. I'm like, no,
Yep,
because
yep,
you
yep,
got to
yep.
think about like the DAW, the files, anything that wasn't backed
Yes,
up, and you're like,
yes,
oh,
yes, yes.
recreating those things,
Yep.
plugins, that
You
passwords.
already know.
Because
You
I
already
know I
know.
can't remember half the passwords to all the extra plugins things, and then the what is they call it, the lock something where you gotta.
iLock, yes, sir. Uh-huh. Yep, yep, yep.
People don't know. They're like, oh, okay, I'll just replace the computer. Like, no, there's
Yeah,
the iLog,
no.
the plugins, the DAW, the
The
beats,
files,
anything
the
that hasn't
hours
been
of
backed
work.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yep.
man, that's
So
powerful.
those were the days, man. But again, immigration is something that how they say every real man has to serve in an army. I feel like every real man has to move places at least once in their life. That's how you learn who the fuck you are. Because if you can do this, you're good to go. You
Right?
know, because you'll be hammered on all sides, financially, mentally. You loneliness. Of course, I broke up with my girl. Like everything was just testing me, which
Yeah,
I chose this. Nobody forced me to, so I never felt like it's unfair because I put myself through this stuff. So that
yeah.
was good. You know what I mean?
Man, I love that. Man, I love that. I recently moved to Dallas, Texas, so I get it. Having those points, you're like, I don't have enough to swipe. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like I need gas. I'm out of gas. I don't have the money to do it. Figure it out. And
Yep.
family sent me like $30. I filled up my tank, and I never ran out of gas again. And you just
Right.
kind of you figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
That's what we do.
that's one of the most beautiful things that I think a lot of folks don't get until they've gone through it. And then when you've gone through it, you have a heart for people that are going through it. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah,
I'm glad you're on the other side now.
man,
Congrats.
man. So tell me about your experience of like just of growing from literally nothing to
Yeah.
having those clients to where you are now with your studio.
I mean, yeah, it's like again, it's just a matter of being open, being, on the hunt and being willing to do the work, like you said, because I just again, I came here with the big advantage because I already had good experience and good skill set. I didn't have to learn stuff, from ground up. I just had to show people that I can do that. And every time, again, that was a whole lot of stories that I can tell. For example, I was working with this artist from Russia, and she wanted me to have the track mixed by this, like, by somebody good in America. And I did my research, and I found this guy, Michael Ashby. He's a really good mixing engineer. He mixed Cardi B stuff and good, all the good stuff. So I hired him for her, but of course I, thought, hey, if I make connection with this guy, then he will, show his, his clients my stuff. And basically I had to bike from Jamaica, New York to Elmont, yeah, Elmont, which is it's a trip. So it was like a 40-minute bike ride in scorching heat. But I'm like, I need to do it because I couldn't pay for no Uber. I couldn't pay for no Long Island Railroad. Again, I was broke, but the opportunity I could smell, like when I smell blood, when I smell the opportunity, don't even try to stop me. I will seize that opportunity. It's so funny to me when artists be like, "Oh, I wish I had like, I wish that like I became famous," but then they don't send that invoice. They don't send out that agreement. They don't, do the demo. They don't do the work, and then they're mad that the world doesn't bring them stuff on a like a silver platter. So step by step, again, he started introducing me to his art, and I was making like $100 beats for those artists, and then they showed their stuff to their friends. And then I was going to jam sessions in New York, meeting people all the time there, producing sometimes for free just to get myself out there. Then I registered on this platform called Sound Better, which is like a really good platform to collaborate, where people find producers to work with. Built my portfolio there from ground up. Now I have like 175-star reviews on Sound Better. People keep coming to me, they hire me. My fees now, I'm not shy to say it because it's publicized. It's $1,500 for production. I came I came to this, and again, it's a matter of always being open to increasing your rates, because it's also a business, right? So you got to run it as a business. You got to be responsible, you got to be quick, you got to be communicative. There's so many things that go into it. So we moved to LA with my girlfriend 2020, because pandemic in New York was unbearable. So we moved out here, and I already had some clients. And then at some point I realized that it just doesn't feel good anymore to bring them to my home studio. And I made a, leap of faith. I found a spot for like $500, tiny little room, but it was a whole new level. It took me a long time to convince myself, but now I cannot imagine not having my own spot. So now I moved studios. I got a better studio now in a better neighborhood, and all the beautiful lights. I built it myself. I put the floors down, put this, like, step by step, always thinking about how I can make more money, because all this money goes back into my own music anyways. So it's like,
Right, right.
there's so many elements to it beyond music. And if you don't like that, then you ain't cut out for it. I'm sorry, like, you just gotta love the whole package.
It's a and it, I think it's a thankless job. Music, being in music is a thankless job. Um, I think we lose so many great legends that don't get their flowers until afterwards. I
Yep.
think we didn't talk about Angie Stone in
Yes.
the way that we
Yes.
should have until she was gone. And then
Yes.
D'Angelo is gone now, and
Yep.
we're like, dang, we missed 10, 15 good years to have talked about him better.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and I even think about Mike too, Michael Jackson, and just
I
how
mean, yeah.
we just ran
Yeah.
him to the ground. And now with the stuff, with all these other files and things like that, we're realizing. I mean, I knew, but we're realizing like, hey, he wasn't the dude that people painted him out to be. But that's just the world that we live
Right.
in. You're
Yep.
guilty. You're guilty by accusation, and that's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
that's usually enough, right? That's usually enough. Yep. Yeah, man. I
Man,
mean, that brings me back to the original point that I made, that you gotta love that. You gotta love
Yeah.
that genuinely. If you're in it for fame or money or any of those things, then you're not gonna last unless you're super lucky or like have good parents that they can take care of you. If you're like us who wants to do it from the scratch, then you gotta genuinely love that, and that's the only way to make it happen. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything that will carry you through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Two last questions because I know it's getting
Mhm.
dark over there. Um,
Yes.
what are your dream collaborators? Somebody that you really desire to work with, do a project with, or even just produce for?
We lost D'Angelo, so that
Yeah.
that already is hurting, So definitely D'Angelo would be my dream collaborator. Bilal, definitely, definitely Anderson Paak, BJ Chicago Kid. Um, from the newer cats, I really like this rapper Seafood Sam. Definitely check him out. One of my
Okay.
favorite rappers at the time. He's phenomenally good. And then yeah, I would love to both produce for them and have a track with them. And obviously Kendrick Lamar, because this guy has been reinventing himself with every album. And I hate
K9.
to say it, and maybe you shouldn't include it, but that's the problem J. Cole has, in my opinion, that he fails to reinvent himself. He fails to be bold with trying new things out. And I just listened to the Fall Off, and it just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And like I was trying to understand why, and then I realized because I've heard this before, and Kendrick is a musician. To Pimp a Butterfly, come on, man. Terrace Martin is another one I would really love to work with.
Out of this
Terrace
world.
Martin,
Terrace Martin is
right?
out of this world.
That's my main probably inspiration these days. His stuff with what's his name? Help me out. The jazz album, the jazz, Destin Conrad,
Yeah, and he also just did one that was Grammy nominated. Kenya
Kenyon
Dixon.
Dixon.
Kenya Dixon.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
that
definitely
was a beautiful
Terrace
record.
Martin is up on that list of dream collaborators for me.
Yeah, I love that.
I hope that's a good list.
No, that's an incredible list. So I know you said you're working with your band actively on different projects. Do you have like a date on when you know that it's going to drop? Like, tell us like kind of what's next.
Damn, I'm like a Prince of Darkness. I'll try my best for the last
Yeah.
question. So I'm dropping a new single, Cape Town Baby. I'm dropping it in March, end of March. That's from the EP that I have done. I also have a documentary dropping, which depicts the whole shooting, the whole recording of that EP. So that will be also end of March. And then the new music, I hope to have it done because I'm a very like get it done type of guy. I hope to have
Yeah.
it done by March and start dropping that stuff in April, worst case May. So constant flow of new stuff for sure.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I appreciate your time, Mark. This is an incredible time. I definitely, when you drop new music, I would love to sit back down with you, analyze that music because you know that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, let's
Because I,
dissect, brother.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Incredible music, incredible stories, and I appreciate your time, and definitely will stay connected.
Same to you, brother.
Shoot,
Thanks for the conversation.
you have inspired me in this conversation. If anything, the Theraflu story, but also everything else, and it lit a
There
fire
was-
under me, and I'm ready to get rocking. And I would love to collaborate with you one day as well.
Hell yeah,
I play sax.
yeah.
Sax is my
So you play
primary instrument.
sax?
Yeah, so I've played
Say
sax for 20
less.
years. Yeah,
What alto, tenor?
all of them. Yeah, I have an alto. I'm still in the market of getting a tenor, but alto is my
Okay.
primary. But would love
Oh, I love
to.
alto.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got you.
Who's your favorite? Okay, last question because I got around two. But
Yeah.
what's your favorite saxophone player? Name three.
Um, Charlie Parker.
Okay.
Modern day, I would
Yeah.
say Miguel Zenon.
Okay.
And yeah, those are the main two. Coltrane, of course, tenor,
Down.
but
Down.
those ones primarily. I never studied jazz until I got to college, and so
Okay.
that's a whole conversation of how I didn't want to be put in a box of black man playing saxophone. He's a jazz. And
Right.
so now when I come out with music, like, oh, that's jazz. I'm like, no, instrumental.
Now. Yep. I feel you, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time, Mark, and we'll absolutely
Same.
get connected and continue this on. Appreciate you.
Much love, man. I guess I'm live for the goodbye. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thanks
You
for
take care,
everybody.
man. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of After Rehearsal Behind the Music. Today we sat down with Mark Evich, learned so much about his R&B sound, what helped to inspire the sound of his music, whether it's East Coast, West Coast, or even Russia, where he's from, and being able to learn so much about life, persevere, and to really push through to be where you desire to be. Check out his latest music, and stay tuned for so much more on After Rehearsal Behind the Music. As always, be blessed and enjoy the journey.
Just keep me, girl.